Bless you. Huh? Should be doing there. Well, good day, everybody. I'm once again hoping this is going to come up, and I haven't even looked at the tracker today. It's the 18th of October, and I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday because tomorrow's Thursday. I know that. And Ada's just given me the thumbs up, so we're actually here. And I thought it was kind of neat that I haven't actually seen the tracker today. So I'll be reviewing it green or cold as it goes. And we're pretty busy here getting ready for the arrivals. Some things have turned up. We're still sorting out the office. Finally got a printer today. Bought a big ladder so we can put all our banners up. We still don't have our banners for the walls. The guardrails going out. Got all our flames. So some things are working and some things are not. And anyway, we're getting ready for a potential arrival. The absolute earliest, without seeing the tracker at the moment, was this last night, late tomorrow night. But I think it's going to be sometime on Friday, and that's what we're going to predict now and see what we've got. So let's have a look at the tracker and see what's going on. This is the first time we've set up only with this timeline too, by the way. So this is where we're going to keep it for now. It may vary when the boats start coming in. If we can't, if we got to go out and do an arrival before, after, or during, we might change this time going forward. But we're sticking with 9 o'clock at night for now. So all looks pretty much as we expected. There's everyone converging on Cape Town now, beelining it and all the rest of it. So we'll come back to that at the end once we've had a look. Galiana still dipping deep south, which is quite amazing. They're holding this, but we'll discuss that. And it looks as if they've made a big breakaway from the fleet. But, very interesting indeed. And that's the amazing part about the whole thing. If we look at it objectively, okay, Godspeed not really in the game. They're just making their way to Cape Town, but they're still down the back there. And then we've got all sorts of tactics going on. We've got it predicted down through the middle, little challenges going on with headwinds and bits. Explorer way down the back there, trying to keep moving. And then we've got the middle fleet. And now we've got this lead group all looking forward to getting there. And they're all going to start to get a little bit wet and wild. So back to Godspeed. Doing 7.1 knots, that's pretty cool, and beelining it straight down the center. So that's what they would like to be doing, and it's exactly what they are doing. And let's see how long that might hold. But anyway, for now, they're quite happy. Outlawed doing exactly what they expected as well, tacking, boom, boom, boom. You can see that pretty clearly. I'll just pick it up again and we'll go back to the others in the weather forecast for the next 2 days in a minute. But this is exactly what you've got to do. Boom, boom, boom. The wind is known to come head on. The good news is their sailing should be pretty comfortable because the seas aren't down, although they're going slow there now, 3.5 knots. And I'd say that's purely because of lack of wind, not that they're pointing too high, because this graphic is showing a wind that's right on the nose. Well, no one can sail like that. And, it's going to have a little bit of, it's probably more southeasterly there. That's why they're tacking that way. It splits the difference between that leg and this leg. So they're obviously a southeaster, and it's very light. And once again, for those that don't remember, this area is only fed information through floating buoys in the area, giving barometric pressure, sea state, and salinity and temperatures and so on to feed into the global weather system. So it can be quite inaccurate to a degree. Anyway, they're quite happy doing the direction that they want, 100 miles in the day. It's suggested. Evrika, 4.6 knots. Again, you can see they've generally got not much wind, and you can, they haven't gone very far at all. So it's been quite calm. 100 miles, though, that's what it's suggesting, but funny course there going across. So that's pretty straightforward. Coming across to Explorer, they've been hunting the breeze. They're still only doing 4 knots, so it's still a long way to Cape Town at 4 knots, I've got to tell you. Still 2,400 miles from Cape Town if you drew a direct line, and it's already the 18th, which is amazing. So they're going to be a while. But nonetheless, they're still sailing. Sterner doing pretty well for a while there, but now slowed down to 3.3 knots. and it's suggesting 143-mile day, so that's not too bad. And you can see here the potholes and bits and pieces. I mean, here's a low pressure system in the middle of the overall high pressure system, bits and pieces. We'll look at the big weather in a minute, but all very random and nothing consistent. White Shadow doing 8.1 knots, charging ahead there. So that's pretty cool, and that's about as low as I'll go at the moment with that. So we can pull back and see what, boy, there's potholes and all sorts of things going on here. So we'll see what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. So there we go through now. Where are we? Here we come. So that's near enough 24 hours. It does start to get a bit organised because of this low pressure system that's formed up down the bottom. It's not being driven by the high. The high is over here, right? That's absolutely a little South Atlantic high, and this is absolutely a big low forming, and that's driving it. And Galiana is in amongst that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Oh, I better do it now. They're in the same group. It gets very confusing. Doing 6.9 knots, and interestingly, doing 6.9 knots, and he's just barreling south. And I think this is a factor of Tapio saying, we got to get down, guys. We got to get down, guys, is what I've been talking about all the time, 40 degrees south. But I have to say, it's still a bit radical, because with that one, if I was going down, he doesn't have to be down at this point and then go along that way. You sort of balance it out. And I would have thought that he would be, that they would be coming across on an angle like this now, because it's all following breezes, and they could be making much better progress, say, if they were targeting somewhere over here now. And that then makes me think, what sort of weather are they getting? Now, this is really defined. It's obviously a low-pressure system. The computer inputs to come up with this model, they might not be exactly right here, but no question about it being a low-pressure system, and no question about them being on the top northeastern corner of that low-pressure system. So I've got to say, I'm a bit confused as to why they're heading so deeply south, when I would have thought at that point, once they got rid of those previous headwinds they had, I would have thought they'd come down here. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting talking to Tapio about this when we get to see him. So that's kind of strange, but he knows you've got to get down there, so what the hell. Okay, where have we got here? So Sterner's going to get the breeze on that in 24 hours. So, this is, jeepers, I've tipped. Sorry, I've gone too far there. Okay, so here it is now. That's 24 hours from now. That's the 19th at 18:30, UTC. Where are we? That's around about it there. 24 hours from now. But again, you can see Galiana, they're really barreling down there, and that's in 24 hours time. So maybe they'll shift off then. So just to confirm my statement, what have they got now? Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, boy. Okay, so let's start again. Galiana was secure. Has got an easterly breeze. That's why they can't turn around the corner yet. And so just clicking it along a little bit at a time, you'll see as this bigger wind, which will be 30 knots or so, comes up behind, it turns. As soon as they get that, which will be tomorrow morning sometime, you will see him come across on this angle. I'm glad I checked that. Sorry about the confusion, everybody. I should have just, instead of click and drag, I should have actually stepped it forward 1 hour at a time. You'll see Sterner gets breeze, Explorer gets a good breeze. That's okay. Evrika's got an easterly, so they'll finally head off a little bit. But they're all still on the top end of this high pressure system. And Outlaw, well, they're just going to have to keep tacking down, but at least it's not strong winds. And just looking back at Godspeed, they've got the same, so they'll be right for that. All right, so just pushing it forward 1 hour at a time now, watching what's going on here. I should have probably talked about the whole lot. It's going to pick up a bit. There's 30 knots there. So Galiana with Secure will run off in this way. Explorer will also be pretty much heading down in that direction with plenty of breeze. And this high here is going to start to impact White Shadow. They'll be over into this light lot here. So yeah, after this is now still the 19th coming through, and then in the 20th, still clicking it through. It gets so confusing to watch this because it's all over the place. White Shadow's okay. So day 2, if they run down this ridge, they'll be coming down here. So pretty generally, all of the boats here, White Shadow, Sterner, Explorer, and Galiana, they'll all basically be moving probably 300 miles along the track. which is going to be around here somewhere. So Explorer is going to be about here. Galliana with Secure will be over here, plenty of breeze. And Sterner and White Shadow, they'll be sort of down around here somewhere and should be still heading down and across. So that looks, the next couple of days for them looks okay. So I'll get back out of that, bring it back to today's weather, and then I'll look at the middle group. So we'll come up a bit here. And we're now talking about Neptune and Triana. So Neptune doing 9 knots, so plenty of breeze there. They've possibly got their big asymmetrics up because it looks like it's coming from the northeast. That's why they're trucking along so well. Triana's already gone past them, still 7.3. You hardly ever see them under 7. And it's looking like they're having to hold their own because this breeze is showing an east-southeasterly wind. So it could be, it's hard to describe where they might be with that, but they're doing pretty well, that's for sure. L'Esprit de Quip, I think that's right. I'm getting messages now on how to pronounce that. L'Esprit de Quip, no. Now, Ada, someone sent me a message and said, I've forgotten already. L'Esprit, come on, tell, what is it, Ada? L'Esprit de Keep. L'Esprit de Keep. I got to remember keep at the end. Yes. Thanks for those messages, everybody. Anyway, now, where do we get to? The Spirit Equip, yes, is doing pretty well. And they've lost huge ground compared to the others. Remember, at one stage, they're only about 500 miles behind this lead group. Now they're 400 miles something. Now they're still 614 miles behind. That's nearly 3 days. So we'll get a break once Maiden gets in. We'll get a break before they come through and do the lives. But at least they're still moving. They'll be happy, reasonably happy with that. So now we'll just look at this horrible weather stuff and see what they're likely to get. I'm going to bounce it through hour by hour so you can all watch that. And here we go. So it's still a bit patchy for Triana, Neptune, and the L'Esprit de Keep. Yep. Yeah, it's really a light zone. So this is by tomorrow afternoon. By tomorrow afternoon, Triana's going to be in light stuff. So is Neptune for sure. And Lionel, it's still going to be maybe a little bit light as well. So, and it's just puffing around. It's still a bit on the nose. They're on the top of that high pressure. If we cut back now, I'm doing this with everyone. You're not supposed to look at these ones here because we're talking about these ones, but you can see it's just crazy. There's a high here, and there's another high here, and then there's this big low. Usually there's, anyway, it's all a bit crazy. So a little bit of a mixed bag for Neptune, Triana, and L'Esprit de Keep. And pushing it right through to the end of the 20th, it's pretty much the same again. And then they're going to bounce into this. So it's another headwind, but that'll at least push them down south, ready to make the move over the cross of the top. So this high pressure is going to be the one that'll influence Neptune, Triana, and L'Esprit de Quip on the way across. And it's going to be basically headwinds. They're going to be down in here with headwinds. So their best option will be keep going down to 40 south, and at that stage, this centre here, you should see that start to disappear over the side. But if I go too far, you can see it's heading across, so it'll be easterly, and that means you've got to, you want to be down here heading up. So again, that traditional suggestion of what's the best way to approach Cape Town, it's absolutely from the southwest. All right, so that's that one. Now the main game. This is what everyone wants to know. When are they going to get there? They're really close right now to Cape Town, but it's windy. It's windy when we look outside here now. And so generally speaking, how far away are they? 250 miles, sort of is. 250 miles-ish, sort of, for the Spirit of Helsinki and Penjuik 6. So that puts them, they're doing 200-mile days, so it's now 9 o'clock at night here. And we've got probably got it a bit pointed. So it's Thursday night. It's going to be Friday, sometime Friday. But anyway, let's look at what's happening. I'm going to pick this up a bit to make it even more obvious. They're getting so close now. So Spirit of Helsinki's thrown away a bit of northerly today, and I think that's trying to keep up with it. But again, they should be absolutely getting weather forecasts now from Cape Town. They'll be close on the radio, so they should know exactly what's going to go on, and they should know that this southeasterly or east-southeasterly is going to persist, and it's going to get quite windy, but it's still not in a weather warning situation. It's in the 30 knot range, gusting 35, and then that's true wind, and they're apparent when they're going forward is pushing it up a bit higher, so they'll all be reefed down. Sea state at the moment is going to be, what do we got? Yeah, bouncing around. There's 4 meters there. It's a good 4 meters, actually. Let's go down to the colour scale. Some of you might have forgotten that now. This colour scale along the bottom of the tracker here gives you the height of the waves in meters. And this pinkish colour here is getting around sort of 4 to 5 meters. So it's going to start to pick up. And the reason for that is the fetch from the Southern Ocean. And it can get quite solid out there. So they'll be, not jumping over waves, but they'll be bounding over them, and they're all getting a bit bigger there. So that's kind of interesting to see what's going on. Let's look at the currents while we're at it, because we're getting close to the Agulhas current. This is all pretty dramatic. It's all very colourful, like a rainbow. And for those that haven't seen this, you can play with it on the tracker, of course. These are the Agulhas currents, which are very powerful. It's like the Gulf Stream in America, and maybe even bigger bigger because they're a very narrow, defined area. If I come back while we're talking currents, you can see the stream down here. I mean, they're massive. And these coloured zones, again, gives you if you come to the bottom of the chart, you'll see this white area. This white area is up to 3 knots. And it can be more, 3 to 4, 5 knots even coming down in the whites. When you go into the purples, it's about 1.5 meters. So there's 1.5 meters of current there. And, you can see there's an eddy there, goes around and around. So the Spirit of Helsinki just missed this eddy. Penduic is now coming into this realm range here. So, and translated, hooked up into a current. They went right along the top of that one, just missed the worst of it. So they don't get this information, of course. Of interest is when they leave Cape Town, you can bet your bottom dollar, they will all get the latest map and plot all these coordinates. They'll all get their weather routing before they leave Cape Town to work out what their game plan is in the next 7-8 days to either use or miss these currents and use the weather forecasting that's coming. So they'll use computers to come up with that weather routing to leave Cape Town. And the forecasting is usually very good for the first 3 days, a bit average for 4, 5, and 6, and starting to get a bit hopeless by 7, 8, so on. But they'll go with that, and then also match that to their weather reports they get off the radio and their barometer and stuff. And of course, when you're coming down here, you'll plot your coordinates, and the first thing, if you're going south, you'll look onto that one and bounce straight down there. And this position of these currents rarely changes to a lot. It does change, okay, it moves, but very slowly. So if you pick this as being the sides of a river, you can be sure that it's going to be generally in that position for maybe a week or more. And so it's easy to plot it and work out where you want to go. And that carries through right over here. So they'll plot all this, and if they're up there, they say, if we're going this way, we might as well try and lock into that one and get the kick. Because if you're doing 3 knots in 24 hours, that's sort of 60, 70 miles for free, which is pretty impressive. So you can see there's a little bit of current on the way in, but not a lot to worry about. But it's nonetheless interesting to see how that works. So I got a bit distracted there just to keep you going. So back to the wind and what's happening. So radio, Penduic, 7.2 knots, 182 miles in the last 24 hours. And the distance to the finish, 285 nautical miles. Spirit of Helsinki, distance to the finish, 250, 60, 70, 80. So they're 50, 60, 70, 80, yeah, about 30 miles. They've got about 30 miles. So they're just taken out a little bit more in the actual real distance to the finish. But again, the biggest part, the difference between Penduic at the moment and Spirit of Helsinki is the ability for Spirit of Helsinki to pay off a little bit in the breeze and keep the boat speed up. Whereas Penduic's got to try and hold high and try and get there directly. And I don't know whether they'll do it, but I hope you don't see Spirit of Helsinki throw anything away yet. In hindsight, if I was doing this and you could get good computer weather forecasting and everything, and provided the sailing's okay, and they're keeping boat speed up because the winds, if this was correct, the wind's cutting the boat at about 70 degrees, maybe 70 degrees. You could maybe hold a little bit high and go down, but that's up to them. They're juggling it, and they're doing a great job at the moment. Okay, so what's Penduic doing? 7.2, yeah, and 182 miles in the day. Spirit of Helsinki suggesting 189 miles in the day. So they've crept up a little bit, all right? We'll hold that thought there. Translated, doing 7.1 knots, and it did 153 nautical miles in the day. Maiden, very clever idea. They didn't have to do it, but they dropped a tack in, because the girls on the boat really are good sailors. The skipper's great. She knows what's going on. Been down this part once before. And you don't want to lose your ground and head up. She knows that they're going to have to be on the nose later on. And so doing 6.1 knots, not as fast as the others, but if you look at this, if this weather gradient is right, she's holding that pretty much going to windward. Whereas down here, there's the wind gradient on Helsinki this way. Whereas over here, this is what the wind gradient is. It's a lot more shallow. It's very much more a east-southeasterly. So there is a difference in wind direction here, and that's because the breeze is hooking around like that a little bit, going into the, over into the west. So again, Spirit of Helsinki is in a commanding windward position and still a little bit ahead of Penduic. So let's click this through and watch what's happening to the weather now as the hours go by. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. There's 8 hours. Okay, not a lot of things changed in 8 hours, but and if anything, yeah, that's still feasible for Penduic to hold that. It's going to be hard because the wind is increasing, but they could potentially hold that. And Helsinki's not a problem. They're okay. They'll hold that as well. What's going down the back here, pretty much the same. So nothing dramatic by early hours of tomorrow morning. And then I'm watching wind direction mainly. It's not too bad. Not too bad at all. It's flattened out a bit. So this is nearly 24 hours ahead now. So that's midday tomorrow. I'm just going to push it up 24 hours ahead. Okay. We're just about there. I'm just watching it. It's got stronger and stronger. There it is there. Okay, so 24 hours from now, if we assume that Penduic's been able to hold that, and it looks like they may just do it. They may just be able to hold one tack on starboard tack. Distance-wise, it's probably going to be about, if they're doing 7 now, 50, 60, maybe 180-mile day, I'd say. They're not going to be doing too much. So by tomorrow night, they could be getting really close. And I think that's about where she'll be. So that puts them about 100 miles from the finish. And I think they'll be up a little bit high. I reckon it's just going to be too much to hold a direct line towards Cape Town. I think they'll be up a bit high. I'd say, and then they've got the issues of closing. But let's just go one step at a time. And for Spirit of Helsinki, off the bow there, they'll probably do a 190-mile day, I reckon. Boy, it's going to get scary tomorrow night. They could actually be right about here. So this is by 9 o'clock tomorrow night. They could be as close as 50 miles from Cape Town. Ooh, I think we better charge the batteries. It could be a very early arrival there. So, let's just pick that up now. I'll forget about translated and Maiden for the moment. I'm just interested in what's going on here. So there's Spirit of Helsinki, potentially 9 o'clock tomorrow night, 50 miles away. They're doing 7 knots. Yeah, 8 is just thinking, maybe. So 50 miles away. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. But you can see here the wind's going light already. And I need to transfer this to the main windy site to get the latest weather and exactly what's happening. But you can see this is the worst nightmare. It happens all the time. I'll build it up again, and you can see what's going on. See, there's no wind here. This is Hout Bay. This is like an hour and a bit drive from Cape Town, and the difference there is that you've got basically about maybe dying off for the last 20 miles of the nightmare. It starts to die off, and as they get closer, the boats go slower and slower and slower, and that's normal. And this is where it gets tricky for us because we're trying to work out the ETAs, and it's just going to go quiet. So that's the 18th, 19th. So this is midnight. You can see it extending back midnight, and then it's going to be a light headwind. All right, and then no wind. This is 4 o'clock in the morning. Complete glass out, complete calm. And so we're all standing here waiting, from 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, nothing happening. Sun comes up, and it goes on and on and on. And fortunately, we're up high. We'll have good VHF comms with them, and we've got satellite comms and things like that. So we'll follow that through. But it's still my prediction, even though it looks as if they're really close and it looks as if they could get in by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just simply the law of averages says it's not going to happen because of all these effects here that come into play. And they may not get there until midday on Friday. Okay, they may not get there until Friday night, but usually it's the morning time that's quiet, then the breeze will kick in, but it still won't get them all the way in. So I'm still saying about midday on Friday, you're going to see Spirit of Helsinki kick the can and maybe be the first boat in. And then by the time all this is happening, if we cut back here to Penduic, I'm going to suggest that Penduic may be about, she'll get hooked up in the lighter longer, 40 miles. I reckon Penduic's going to be as much as 5 or 6 hours behind. So they might not get in but they could bunch up at the end. Bit hard to predict, but I'm still saying that Spirit Helsinki is taking line on us. Penduic 4 to 6 hours later, and then translated is looking at 125 miles behind. It's going to be nearly a day. So we'll see translated sometime on Saturday, probably around. The breeze could fill overnight. Let's have a look. I'm just going to now drop that. We're now talking Saturday, so Friday the 20th. That's 18, 19, 20. So that's Friday. I'm going to kick this through to midnight. So the 20th is Friday. It fills in again there. Sheepers. So Friday, I'm going to build this up so I can get a bit of a look on Cape Town. Friday, I've got to hit that again. Saturday, no, there's a breeze filling in all the way through. So if they ride that through, they could be here in the early hours of Saturday morning. So that's it. Yep, I could sit here and waffle on forever, but it's all getting a bit boring. So just one quick look again at what's going on. It's pretty much well established. You can see that high by the time Saturday comes this is a classic South Atlantic high, settled in. The other guys coming down here, they should be behind them okay. So Friday and Saturday's the day. We'll be back again, and I could pop up an update with the tracker anytime tomorrow. Depending on what's happening, but we'll certainly be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll be so close with reasonably good weather forecasting, and I might bring Windy up on this and show you that we will be able to get a little bit better prediction, but that calm weather is going to be a nightmare. Okay, that's enough there. I'll just check the comments here for now. I think I remembered everyone. So that's great. Yeah, good afternoon, Florida. Good day, Margaret. Chesapeake, well, look at that, like Chesapeake again. It is not full screen. I'm not sure about what happened there, but anyway, good evening from Ireland. Don, to me, that's Ada in French. I don't know what she's saying. Hello from Punta del Este. Good day, Clara. No questions here. Hello. Cheers to Spirit of Helsinki. Yeah, doing really well. Checking on from Wave, Mississippi. I'm late. Good grief. You would think at 2 p.m. our time I could be on time. True. Hi, Don. Hope you have better weather than us in Cape Town. Hi, Don. Hope you have better weather than us in Cape Town. We're in Cape Town. Currently, it's beautiful weather here at the moment. A bit windy, but it's beautiful. Hout Bay, yes. Okay. It's a very tense finish. Yes, all good fun. I think you've seen the latest news and the press release and so on. And if you've got a question, stick it in there. I'll probably do the questions and answers, give you the answers tomorrow before the boats start coming in. And we will share the web TV we did with Marie Taberley tomorrow morning, if you're up for that. It was an interview we did, Marie, in Southampton before the start, so all a bit of fun. See you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.